Good evening. How you doing? A very warm welcome to the main stand here on Alibeg ABTV. It's Friday night. How's your week been? Tonight is a rather busy show, so I'm going to try and get through all of it before the football starts in about half an hour's time. So it got me thinking going forward. What I'm going to try and do with this show is to get on air between the two games, the one late afternoon and the one sort of mid-evening. So that's the plan going ahead. So we've got a really busy show for you tonight. Got lots coming up. Usual features, interviews, and I really hope you enjoy what we've managed to put together for you this evening. If you're watching for the first time, hi, how you doing? You're more than welcome to the show. Please feel free to drop that old subscribe button a wee hit, because we're edging ever closer now to 1,800 subscribers, and the goal before the end of the month is to try and reach that. So if you are watching for the first time, I really hope you enjoy the show. So to begin with tonight, I thought what we would do is we would look back on the week that was. And it begins with great news. Bojan Majowski gave the Daily Record an exclusive interview where he said, "Yes, I'm definitely going to finish the season with Aberdeen. I am fully focused on the second part of the season. I have committed a long-term 4-year deal. He is going to stay beyond January," which is fantastic news. I talked to Rory Britton about that a little bit later. Our financial results came out. These are the key notes from 2022. Revenue is up by 25%, but total losses over time equal 10.5 million. Kieran Maguire put those stats together. The football club announced this week the very sad passing of Norman Davidson, who sits 20th in the all-time AFC goal scorers chart. Our condolences to his family. And a ticket update for you. We have sold over 12,000 tickets for the Viaplay League Cup semi-final against Rangers, which is great news. And of course, we saw the Hall of Fame this week. Many congratulations to Dougie Bell, to Duncan Shearer, to Russell Anderson, and to Frank McDougall, who is currently recovering in hospital after what was a major operation. Also this week, former Aberdeen manager Stephen Glass is back in football. He's accepted the head coach's role at Memphis 901 in America. That was the week that was. Just to follow on from that, personally, I am absolutely thrilled that Stephen is back in the game after what was obviously a very difficult time at Aberdeen. And I think that most of us, after posting on my socials that he was back in a job, I would say 99.99% of the response was very positive towards Stephen. So the very best of luck to him and to his wife Carla going forward. If you want to get in touch, usual means, drop me a note on YouTube and we will get to your comments tonight. So yesterday saw what would have been Neil Cooper's 59th birthday. Our Gothenburg great who passed away 4 years ago. It's still, for so many, his passing is still very raw. And he is so sadly missed. And he is a guy that I think will never ever be forgotten by his friends, his family, and the Aberdeen family, and football as a whole. So I thought what I would do today is catch up with one of his old mates, Andy Dornan, who was very close with Neil. Andy used to play for Aberdeen, of course, played at a handful of games at fullback, and we had a little chat. Just before that, Brian Gunn sent me this wonderful picture. Just look at the two of them. Look at Tatty's hair. What a picture. Here's Andy Dornan. Good morning. How you doing? Lovely to see you as always. Thank you for jumping on and talking about Neil. I would like to begin, Andy, by asking you, was he just as mischievous as a youngster as he was as an adult?
Well, Ali, when I first met Neil, I think I'd been about 13 years old. He was a wee bit younger than me. And it's a simple answer, yes, he was. He came to Aberdeen in the school holidays. He kind of got, he was the youngest that came to the club then. All the older players really liked him. He got teased a lot, but he just took it in his stride, and he was just always a fun, great company and great fun, even at a young age.
Having played with him, Andy, and played with him for quite a number of years, did you always have a sense that he was going to make it?
Well, I think when Neil first came to the club, full time at the club, and it's maybe a bold statement, but he was probably the best young player I'd seen at 16. He had
Really?
absolutely everything. He had a good physique. He was really athletic, touching the ball. He had a very mature head for a young player. His reading of the game was exceptional. And then somewhere along the line, Archie Knox and obviously Sir Alex transformed him a wee bit. They changed him a wee bit into being maybe more aggressive. And I think that's how people maybe remember Neil, as with that great partnership we had with Simi, has been really a ball-winning, aggressive midfield player. But there was far more to Neil Cooper as a footballer. As a young player, he was exceptional. And of course, he started off as a central defender in Nolan Miller's role, and he got such great accolades from Beckenbauer, who saw him playing in a youth tournament.
Yeah.
And then Neil moved into midfield and had a fabulous career there.
Do you think he was actually underrated as a player?
Well, I think anyone who played with him knew what a fantastic player he was. Anyone who played against him really didn't enjoy playing against him. So I suppose underestimated, I'd say no. I think he was appreciated as such a good player. But I think a lot of Neil's natural ability, I wouldn't say stifled, but his game changed. He wasn't a silky young player that came to the club. He definitely changed into being a more aggressive type of player.
I know, Andy, there are hundreds of stories about him, but do you have one that really sticks in the mind?
Well, I think, Ali, you're asking about, was he always mischievous as a young player? And it's well known, Neil and I were close friends, along with John Hewitt and Simi and all the boys. But the thing is, Neil was everyone's friend. Everyone who met Neil Cooper was his best mate. But I think as a young player, Fergie started keen to get young players playing in Europe. We played in youth tournaments, and we played in Holland. And I think Neil was about 16 at the time. We were maybe 17, 18. And we used to play in this, it was an amateur club at the tournament. There was good clubs there. There was Real Madrid, Aston Villa, a lot of the Dutch clubs there. There was a guard dog chained in a kennel, and we used to walk past this pavilion in the kennel to get to the pitch. And every day Neil would bark at this dog. And the dog would come running out the kennel, just about strangle itself, trying to bite someone. And Neil thought this was hilarious. So this went on for a week. We get to the cup final. And Neil was barking at the dog. Now, Teddy Scott, trying to keep the boys calm and reassure them they'd done well getting to the final, Teddy had got caught in the moment and obviously had forgotten about the guard dog and was walking backwards, talking to the players when Coops did his usual bark at the dog. The dog came out the kennel, straight onto Ted, sank its teeth in his backside. Teddy was carted off to hospital to get tetanus.
No.
Missed the final. Lenny Taylor stepped in to look after the boys in the final. He was distraught. I mean, he was really upset, but he couldn't believe what had happened, although he'd been tormenting the dog all week. However, he had an unbelievable game. I think we beat Southampton in the final 2-1 to win the trophy. And Teddy arrived back just in time to see us lift the trophy. So I suppose from a young age, he, he was just hilarious, and but what a really good player as well.
Yeah. I think it's safe to say, Andy, he is the type of guy who will never be forgotten. Never.
Well, he was a local lad, although Neil loved telling the fact that he was born in India. He loves telling everyone that, and he was. His dad was a tea planter, but he was an Aberdeen boy. He was very much part of the city. When he finished playing, he loved socialising. He loved meeting people. He very much one of our own, as they say. And what we've started doing, Ali, when Neil died, myself, John Hewitt, Willie Miller, we arranged to meet up once a year and toast Tatty and have a drink to him. So we've done it a few times, and obviously we couldn't do it with the pandemic. Back doing it, and it started off, there was maybe five. It was George Middleton, who, funny enough, was at school with Neil, and he actually signed for Aberdeen at the same time. So George came along, Graham Iacomini, who was a good friend. I think there was 5 or 6 was Kevin Davidson, who was Neil's agent. Kevin came along. So it started, I think it was 5 of us. Now, tomorrow, we're having a catch-up, and it's kind of grown arms and legs now because we're trying to keep the numbers down, but it's people who obviously Neil played with and were good friends with. So Simmy's coming along, Drew Jarvis coming along, Duncan Davidson, Willie Garner, are all coming along tomorrow. So we might surprise a few local bars tomorrow.
Brilliant.
What I've done is I've arranged a day out for the boys, but nobody knows where we're going.
Okay.
So I've got a minibus taking us to a number of local pubs throughout Aberdeen. So if you're in, can't tell where we're going, but if you're in there, you might see some of the boys. And another thing as well, Ali, we always have a thought about Neil, and our thoughts obviously go to his family as well. His dear mum Anne, who John and I used to go and visit regularly before the pandemic. I feel guilty we haven't seen her for a while. His kids, Amy, Ellie, Alex, great kids. He was very proud of his family. And obviously his sister Shirley, who was a big part of his life as well. And Shirley comes along and meets us as well. So he'll never be forgotten. Yeah. Never. And, we'll keep his memory going. He was a great friend to all of us. And the Aberdeen supporters, he was a fantastic player.
Do you know what I really miss? I miss his live Facebook posts. When he used to just randomly say, Neil Cooper is now live. And you would click on. And he'd be in a nightclub or a pub dancing.
Well, I said to him, he came out of my house, before Neil died, he came out of my house in New Year, and it was late, and I said to him, Neil, what are you doing? Are you staying? We'll make up the bed for you. Do you want a taxi? And he said, Andy, go and let's open another bottle of wine, and let's tell a few more stories. And I said to him, have you any regrets? You wish you'd done different, or fond memories? And, I said, anything you really regret? And all he could say to me was he was devastated when the Alpine closed. That was his main regret, the Alpine closing.
What, the bar?
Aye. The Alpine nightclub closing, so I was devastated. That was one of the saddest days. So he'd be happy to know it's reopened and doing very well.
Oh, brilliant. Andy, thank you for jumping on and sparing a few minutes of your time, because I know how busy you are. So thank you. It's lovely to see you as always.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ali.
Thank you, mate. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. My thanks to Andy and to those who sponsor Alibeg ABTV, Saltire Energy, who continue to lead the way in the oil industry when it comes to rental and equipment. To Lux Scott, a jet-class luxury vehicle company. If you're looking to travel anywhere in style, give these guys a look up. They're going to have some special events with P&J Live next year, so a look out for that. To Fowler Mackenzie, established in 2001, here for all your roofing and cladding needs. The very best in the business. And to HCS, a Scottish engineering company who for the last 20 years has built a huge reputation for manufacturing high quality, bespoke equipment for the oil industry. My thanks to all of those guys who continue to support me here on Ali Beg ABTV. Just quickly before we talk to Rory Britton from Aberdeen Live about all of the news stories that have come out of Pittodrie this week, just a quick story about Neil Cooper. So I was very fortunate to have met him a few times as a youngster, but when I met him as an adult, when I first stepped into sports broadcasting, it was the time of the 25th Gothenburg anniversary. And I had got an old Gothenburg shirt, the Cup Winners' Cup final shirt. And because my brother missed out on going to the final, I always carried some guilt about that. So I thought what it would be nice for his 30th birthday, I thought I would get a shirt that was signed by all the players. So it took me about 5 years to get this shirt fully signed, which I eventually presented to him. And I found out that Neil was going to be part of a television broadcast, so at Pittodrie. So I thought, perfect, this is my opportunity to go and get the shirt signed by Tati. So I walked in to what was the makeshift studio at the back of Pittodrie, walked in, and he took a double glance and he said to me, "Oh, here he comes, the poor man's Gary Barlow." Oh, I swear my knees absolutely buckled, but what a man. Just the best. Oh, we love him to bits, don't we just? Okay, it's been a busy week in terms of news coming out of Pittodrie. So I caught up with Rory Britton, trainee reporter from Aberdeen Live, to discuss all the week's news. Here's Rory. Hi Rory, great to see you as always. I think we only need to really start one place, and that was the very encouraging news about Bojan Majowski, where he's basically stated that he's going to stay. The question is, how long will he stay for?
Yeah, no, I think that's the best possible outcome we could have had from this whole link to moving to France. Him committing and stay. I think it's the most sensible move for him as well at the minute. You know, he's on 5 months or so, and he's already made a massive impact. And I think keeping hold of him is going to be key if they want to kick on with where they're going this season, keep going with a good cup run, keep pushing for Europe and stuff like that. I do have concerns about the summer, however, when he's done, the full first year is done, if he keeps going the way he's going and everything, because there's not many players that turn up and make an instant impact at a club like Aberdeen these days, where they're hitting the top of the goal scoring charts and constantly banging in goals at home. There's not many that stand out quite like Majowski has in the recent seasons. So I do fear that then there's going to be that draw of, well, clubs in bigger leagues abroad are interested. But I think we're pretty safe for now. But it's encouraging to say the least.
I think what it helps also do is it just helps take away any doubts in January, especially. And I think it just helps settle everybody down and everything down as well, because, as teammates, we all know teammates talk. And I just think it'll help everything just go, he's going to be staying, nothing to worry about. We've got a big January coming up with a semi-final and some very important games. So we can just kick on.
Yeah. I think it's a lot bigger a window than it looks already, because there's still the conversations to be had about loan players like Liam Scales and everything. So getting rid of that distraction and having Majowski say, "I'm staying, I'm happy," I think that's just been a fantastic outcome. But he's definitely going to be vital in January. Like you said, the Cup semi-final and everything. He is going to be a massive player for the second half of the season if they want to hit these objectives that Jim Goodwin's been on about, producing a good cup run, return to Europe and everything. He's going to be vital, because every other weekend or weekend after weekend even, he's on the score sheet. So having all this kind of talk flare up of a move to France and then very quickly simmer down with him saying, "I'm loving it here, I'm staying," sort of thing. It's just been the perfect possible outcome. But I do hope that, because me and you've spoken before about his form on away days and everything, can he score as frequently as he does at Pittodrie away on the road and everything? So I hope that with this sort of link that he's had, there are no distractions, there's no thoughts or anything in the back of his mind about what if I had gone or anything. I hope he just uses it now to just kick on, concentrate, and just give Aberdeen fans the best he can.
Yeah. There's a couple of other sort of interesting stories that caught my attention coming out of Pittodrie this week. How much Jim Goodwin was impressed by his youngsters that he's taken over to Atlanta and how well they performed, and also about the fringe players who are sort of in and around the first team when he was talking about their attitude and their application when they come off the bench and during training. I think it's boding well as far as I'm concerned. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think they had a little bit of a tougher test over in Atlanta than I think they possibly might have expected.
Yeah.
But, we saw a real moment of quality out of Leighton Clarkson, another youngster who's getting another chance to kick on because he's still developing. We saw plenty of chances for minutes among the squad, plenty of fresh legs here and there, and seeing a lot of these academy guys who seem to have been sort of jumping in and out of team sheets each week on the bench, and young boys, Jack Mill and all that sort of lot, they occasionally seem to pop in and out week to week. And I find that one week they look like they'll get a chance and then they'll disappear and then they'll come back 2 weeks later or something. So I think having that chance to actually show why they should be on these match days, I think that's been brilliant for them against what was a much better looking side than I think some might have expected. So it wasn't, running away with a 5-6-7-0 or anything silly and easy. So giving these lads a proper game and then coming away with a good win and everything, I think we're in a very, very good place when it comes to looking ahead to who's going to be the next academy star to come up. There's still, there's too many tough fixtures on the horizon, it feels like, because we come back after the World Cup, we've got Celtic Rangers back to back. That feels ridiculously tough to go and throw some of these lads in who've just had a bit of a kickabout in Atlanta. But I do feel there's going to be some chances down the line to see them again and see them have another opportunity. Let's say, for instance, there's an easy Scottish Cup draw in the early stages. Hopefully we can see them kick on there. Maybe there's a couple of league games where we feel comfortable enough to give them more minutes at proper level, But I think to be in that position where we've got, 4 or 5 names in the back of our minds who have come on over in the States and shown what they can do, I think that's a brilliant position.
Talking about guys who have come up through the academy, Jack McKenzie has spoken to the press this week. I personally didn't actually know the story about him going to Atlanta on loan before the pandemic hit, and then he did go out on loan for a while. So it was a very, very impressive read. I really enjoyed reading it. It's almost like a strange one for Jack at the moment, because it's either him or Hayden Coulson. And I know Hayden Coulson's on loan. I personally would love to see him actually sign for the football club when his loan deal finishes. So to have that sort of strength and depth between him and Jack, I think can only be a good thing. What's your thoughts on Jack at the moment?
I think he's been really, really good so far this season. I think having that competition of Hayden being in the squad with him and battling for places with him, I think that's been better for him than if it was just him.
Yeah.
I think having that to keep kicking him on, pushing him on, and making sure that he's on top of his game rather than just coasting into the team each week with no sort of risk of losing his position or anything. I think being able to be aware that he has to turn up and make sure he's showing why he should be starting over Hayden has been vital. But for the team as a collective, in that position with 2 very good players, that's been a big, big plus for them, I think, so far this season. And obviously, we've still got to look at whether Hayden is tied down permanently and he stays there. But for Jack's sake, performance-wise, he's produced some real moments of quality through the season. And he, had he gone to Atlanta, I don't know if we would still have seen him in the team. I wonder where he would have gone after that, if he would have come back. So maybe that move not going to plan with the pandemic and everything, maybe that's turned out in a very good way because he comes back, goes to Forfar, improves his game there, comes back to Aberdeen and kicks on, and now he's sort of looking like a first team regular. So he's turning into a big player, but just make sure he stays on top of this little battle he's got going on with Hayden. I think that's going to be the best thing for him at the minute.
Yeah, I think we're very lucky to have both of them. Rory, thank you as always for jumping on, and enjoy your weekend, and we will catch up again soon.
Cheers, Alex. See you soon.
Thank you, mate. Bye-bye.
I'm Frank McDougall. You're now watching Ali Beg AB TV.
That was Frank McDougall, of course, who I caught up with a couple of weeks ago while home in Aberdeen. He's currently in hospital, recovering after what was a major operation to help him with his cancer scare. And I'm hoping to catch up with him very soon. And I will, of course, bring an update to you on his health and his recovery. Everybody here is obviously sending our love to Frank. So, speedy recovery, my friend, if you're watching. Now, there's an initiative at Pittodrie, and in fact it goes all around Scotland, that I thought I would like to tell you about, because it's quite wonderful and it's helping so many people. It is basically, this is what it's called Alzheimer's Scotland Football Memories, in partnership with Football Memories Scotland and the AFC Community Trust. And what these group of people do is they come together in the Gothenburg Legends Lounge at Pittodrie, and it's to help people who are suffering from dementia and Alzheimer's, people who also might have some mental health issues, who struggle with, say, for example, some sort of anxiety. And they bring everybody together and they discuss football. And there are a number of volunteers that go along and they help set everything up. And some of the old Aberdeen players have been there. Johnny Hayes was there recently. And they just basically discuss football. And they show them old programmes, old shirts, old footballs, scarves. And what it helps is trigger memories and just bring everything back. And it also offers support to those people who have to live with their partners who have got these issues in their lives. And I was very fortunate to have attended one of the groups a couple of years ago, and it blew me away, because you could see these people come to life and you could see how much they were lifted, and it is quite wonderful. So I thought what I would do today is jump on with a gentleman called Charlie Craig, who is a volunteer, and he's here to tell you a little bit more about what they do. Here's Charlie. Hi Charlie, it's lovely to see you. Thank you for jumping on. Okay, let me ask you first of all, when did you first get involved with the group?
It was over 10 years ago, Ollie, when I went to a match at Pittodrie, and in the main stand, it was around about New Year, there were leaflets from Alzheimer's Scotland looking for volunteers to start get involved in a new project, Football Memories. It started down at Falkirk. Michael White, a historian there, had started the project. He'd been visiting care homes, and I just phoned up and got involved. I was one of the first volunteers. No, I'm one of a team of very enthusiastic volunteers in the Northeast, and really enjoying it.
What would you say is the objective of the group, and what does it represent?
I think what it does, it gives an opportunity for those living with dementia, and more recently those that are socially isolated or living with a mental health issue, just to mix socially and meet together like-minded people who enjoy speaking and reminiscing about their love of football, and also other sports as well come into it. Well, that's one of the main objectives. We use match programs, newspapers, photographs, and it's such a simple context where we just look at photographs and try and stimulate the memories with a few prompts here and there. And it's amazing how people in the group react to it.
I know that you guys meet inside Pittodrie, which is fantastic, but how often do you meet?
Well, since the COVID restrictions have eased, we're now meeting 3 times a week at Pittodrie with the support of the community trust. Their volunteers are involved as well. We also have a group that meets at Mannifield Cricket Club, Aberdeenshire, the cricket club at Mannifield. That was started as a cricket memories, but we just speak about various sports. But also, we try and arrange 2 meetings a month at the Alzheimer's Scotland Resource Centre in King Street, where we meet. And then last few months, I've started a group at Cove Rangers. Very much appreciate the support of Duncan Little and his people at Cove Rangers, and that's an excellent facility because we're actually in the lounge where we overlook the pitch, and the lads come in and they just look across the field. And some of them are season ticket holders. They come along with their friends. We're really increasing the number of venues. We're trying to do that as well.
Charlie, for yourself, how satisfying is it to see the people that come to your group and they physically respond to what's going on? How satisfying do you find that?
Oh, it's really satisfying. It's one of these things where when the people first come, you can tell that they're a bit nervous, lack a bit of confidence, which is understandable. But when they come along with their wives or partners and they come into the group and they begin to gain that confidence, and maybe the first couple of meetings, see that they're looking at photographs and engaging with us and chatting. And then maybe 2 or 3 meetings later, they open up. You can see a difference. We do quite a few, the volunteers are good at doing one-to-one sessions. If someone is maybe a bit nervous or lacking confidence, they'll maybe take him to the side. I think when you visited us, we had a couple of tables and sit at the side and maybe go through an Aberdeen book and go through photographs and ask them on a one-to-one basis, which is good because not everyone likes being in a big company, particularly when they're living with their dementia. It's really satisfying. We've had some fantastic stories from the guys. Some of the lads at their first meeting, they won't see anything and will mention Dennis Law, and they'll say, "Well, I went to school with Dennis. I went to the lads club with Dennis." And another one who lived in the area was Ron Yates, and they'll tell stories about knowing Ron Yates when he worked as a slaughterman before he went to Dundee United. You know, it's just amazing. It's a simple thing to do. It certainly stimulates their memories, happy memories.
Just to finish off, Charlie, why do you think the group is so important?
Well, one of the main reasons the group was started, I think, was to provide respite for the wives and partners of those that are living with dementia or other conditions. The wives and partners that come along feel confident, when they see their husband afterwards. They come in and see the smiling faces, and they know that they're in a safe environment. And we're really pleased that when they've actually formed a group of their own, where they go away for a coffee, maybe a walk along the beach, go for a coffee somewhere. And it's actually great to see them gathering together, because sadly, it's a situation where maybe that's the only respite they get once a week, maybe even once a fortnight. I'm not getting into the other matters of that, but we're providing that sort of respite for them, and I think they appreciate it. And the volunteers are really enthusiastic, and they like to see the partners getting that respite as well. That's one of the main reasons.
Well, Charlie, it's that you guys are doing absolutely fine. I know from the couple of hours that I spent with you guys, just to see the reaction of the people that are there and participate, and to see them come to life, and to see their partners who are obviously living through this as well, to see them just react and to see how their partners are reacting as well, I think is absolutely phenomenal. And keep up the absolutely fantastic work. And hopefully, Charlie, we'll see each other again very soon. Thank you for jumping on. Lovely to see you.
Thanks very much, Alan.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. My thanks to Charlie. So the guys are looking for volunteers to help at the group. So if you would like more information, can you please get in touch with me? And then what I will do is I will pass your details to Charlie. So you know how to get me through the normal means, and I will be delighted to pass on your details to Charlie. So if you can, please keep that in mind, because they do obviously do a phenomenal job. On this day in the club's football club calendar, back in 1959, former Aberdeen midfielder Jim Bett was born. Jim played 338 games for the Dons, scoring 47 goals. He celebrates his 63rd birthday today. Back in 1981, Aberdeen beat Hamburg 3-2 at Pittodrie in a pulsating UEFA Cup third-round tie. Eric Black, Andy Watson and Gordon Strachan with Aberdeen's goals. The Dons, though, went out of the competition, having lost the return leg 3-1. And back on this day in 1989, having not scored for 30 hours worth of football, Charlie Nicholas finally gets on the score sheet, scoring a first half hat-trick against St Mirren at Pittodrie. Tomorrow is the anniversary of us winning the Coca-Cola Cup final back in 1995. And on a sort of a trip back to home a wee while ago, I went on a bit of an expedition to try and find a certain artifact from that final. And I found it. Stephen Glass's mountain bike that he was given as man of the match. So if you're wondering what's happened to the bike, so the AFC Heritage Trust currently have it, and the plan is to eventually, whenever we get this new stadium, if it ever comes to fruition, there are plans to build a museum. And what the club are looking to do is basically put the bike into what will be the new museum. So it has been currently looked after by the guys at the AFC Heritage Trust, and they will obviously take very good care of it, and then they will put it in the museum. Do you remember it had the sort of the Coca-Cola Cup final? I don't know what you call them, the things that went round the wheels, which was on the original photograph when Stephen got it. Stephen can't remember what happened to those because it was Stephen that actually gave it to the Heritage Trust many, many years ago before he became manager. So he's got no idea where they actually went, if you're wondering where they are. Can I take an opportunity to very quickly thank you for all your kind comments about The Vault, my new series of the old Zoom interviews that I did during the pandemic. And I've got a brand new one for you coming up very soon with former Aberdeen winger Willie Faulkner. And I thought I'd give you a taster. This is where he talks about the mindset of Sir Alex Ferguson.
Great man management, like a great kind of, you don't realise these things till you're older, and then you speak to the guys you played with at the time, but he knew how to handle every player in a different way. That you hear stories over the years, it's like he knew who to put a hand round, he knew who to get a bollock in, a kick up the backside. On that side of it, was one time we played, I think I was about 17, we played at Pittodrie, and it was one of these League Cup, and there was group sections. So we played at the old Broomfield, and I was playing, and I think we got beat 1-0 or 2-1, and he came in after the game, and he went absolutely mad. And it's like, Faulkner, you'll never play for this team again. It was that kind of scenario that he used to do with everybody. So I've gone home that night, and I'm like, my mum and dad, oh, that's me finished. I'll have to get the job section and see where I'm going to go next. So coming into Pittodrie the next day, walking down the big corridor, and Fergie had his office halfway down, and all I heard was like, Faulkner, get in here now. And he had a look to see if anybody was watching, and he pulled me in. So he went through the whole thing, said, you should have done this, you should have done that, I wanted you to do this in the game, blah, blah, blah. So I thought, okay, then he said, and by the way, don't tell anybody you were in this room, you know? So I'm like, okay, then fair enough. So the next couple of days go on, and we're playing Dundee United away. And we go for a pre-match at the hotel, and he reads out the team, and I'm in the team, you know. But that was a kick up the backside he gave me by saying, you'll never play for the team again, but this is what you should have done after nobody's seen it. And we played well. I think I set up the winner, and we won 1-0, you know, and that was just kind of man management. And it's funny, when I talked to the boys in the squad at that time, everybody got pulled into that, into the manager's room, you know, without anybody knowing they were there, you know. That was just man management.
Brand new episode with former Aberdeen winger Willie Faulkner will be coming to you very soon.
Hi, I'm Joe Harper, and you're watching Ali Beg, ABTV.
Thank you, Joe. Guys, we are all done. Thank you so much for watching tonight. I really hope you've enjoyed the show, and I will see you next week. I've decided I'm going to change the timings of this show because it is clashing with the live football. So keep an eye on my social media channels, and keep an eye next week because I'll get at least 2 episodes of The Vault out. So many thanks for watching. Have a brilliant weekend, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.